This video is brought to you by StarCharge, the largest EV charging manufacturer in the world. They are also a provider of residential and commercial battery storage with microgrid solutions. This video is also brought to you by Kempower, the reliable, quick, and scalable EV charging solution for everyone and everywhere.
Welcome back to Out of Spec Reviews, and welcome to the back of a Model X Plaid. As you can probably tell by the sign behind me, I am at Come and Go, which means range test. And this is a car that a lot of people have been wondering, how far can it go on our 70-mile-an-hour range test? So good news, these stations are all back in working order. When I did the Kia EV9 range test recently, they were all out of order. None of them worked. They don't look pretty. Like, this is literally missing all of its panels. Those two are missing some of their panels. And the one I plugged into is the best looking one, as you can see right here. Look at that, fantastic. But what matters most is they all work. So I am charging right now, currently to 100%. Top charging this bad boy. This is Out of Spec Dave's car, the Model X Plaid that we've been using in a lot of videos lately. It's been around the country quite a bit, but it still is pretty fresh. It's a new car, 2024 Model X Plaid, priced as tested, currently about $100,000, $99,000 and change. Dave fortunately got it before I think some recent price increases, so I think he paid a bit over 90. All that to say, it's a super powerful, super fun car. Kyle's done videos on how it drives, all the fun stuff with it. But this is a day for a bit more regimented testing. How far can it go at 70 miles an hour constant? We are gonna find out. So again, we are here at Come and Go in Wellington, Colorado. Actually, do you wanna see what this charger really looks like? So yes, this is where we like to start pretty much all of our tests, which makes all the cars pretty much apples to apples comparison, at least for the location where we start and end. This is a loop style test, so we will be counteracting really any sort of elevation gains. And even today, pretty nice day. It's about 50 degrees right now. There's a little bit of wind every once in a while. These clouds are kind of blowing around, but mostly sunny day, a little bit of wind. But yeah, really a pretty nice day. Now, Kyle has already done a range test on our friend Brandon's Model X before he sold it. So that was a long range Model X. And he's done a range test on his Model S Plaid. I'm gonna try not to hit any curbs with this. It has a round wheel though, so that's really good. And so we should be fine. No curbs, no yokes. We're doing okay.
A huge thanks to Kempower for sponsoring this episode. You guys know I'm a huge fan of Kempower chargers for many reasons, but ultimately I love their flexibility and scalability. Essentially, they have rack-powered DC chargers, which means, especially at a lot of fleet customers, you have power limitations when chargers first go in, and then site upgrades can take a while. So you can put in a full rack to handle DC charging capability. You can put in maybe 200 or 300 kilowatts and then expand as you get more power capacity to your site. Uber flexible. The way Kempower works is you have your main AC-DC rectifiers that are unbelievably reliable in an off-board cabinet, and then satellites that you can place up to 80 meters away. I mean, really far away, you can put these satellites. Really awesome stuff. It's fantastic for fleet use. It's fantastic for actually even mining use deep underground. If you're an OE looking to test in harsh environments, for example, you got to make sure your car's charged in the coldest climates. You need the toughest charging solutions, and of course, that's going to be Kempower. So huge thanks to them for sponsoring this video. You should definitely check them out if you're looking for high-powered DC fast charging.
But this car, we'll just talk about it really quick. This is on the efficient 20-inch wheels, so less aggressive and more efficient than the 22-inch optional wheels. And this is ultra red, fantastic color. Love this red on the white interior. That is the proper way to spec it out. The Plaid only comes in the 6-seat variety, but the other Model X can have 5 or 7 seats as well. And on the inside here, these really annoying power doors. All these doors are power operated, it seems like. Carbon fiber accents do come with the white interior. It looks nice. It's not like overly done. And yes, fantastic seating. This is going to be a really good range test, I think. So what I did when I headed over here was I routed to the nearest supercharger so that this thing would precondition the battery. The battery's going to be nice and warm. I got here with like 38%. We are now topping it up to 100%. So that should happen pretty quick here. Well, I don't know how quick actually. If I top charge and if it does top balance, it might take a while. I know it did for Kyle's car for sure. So we'll see, but we're gonna get started here and we will head all the way up where we usually do. So we'll rotate the map here just so you can kind of get a overview of where we usually take it. We go up here, this is Wyoming right over here, and then we go over into Nebraska, turning around somewhere in Nebraska. So this should be fascinating because we have the stats of the other cars Kyle's tested. So if you want to have fun, I guess take a guess now before you see the end of the video, because what is interesting is this is APA rated for 326 miles. Now the long range is EPA rated for 335 miles. That is only a 9-mile difference. Actually, they don't call it long range. It is just Model X 335, that's dual motor. Model X Plaid 326 tri-motor. So this has over 1,000 horsepower, whereas the dual motor has 600 something. So exceptionally powerful, but also interestingly, magically efficient. Tesla does really well with efficiency. Kyle on the long range, the older, still new Plaid, or not Plaid, the older new Model X that he tested from Brandon, that did, I think it was 331 miles. And then in his actual Model S Plaid, 365 miles. This will not do as much as the Model S most likely, obviously, because it's the exact same drivetrain, but in a less efficient, slightly heavier beast. Now, I say slightly heavier, but this is 5,248 pounds. That is still not crazy heavy. It's only 100 pounds more than the normal Model X because of that extra motor, basically. But otherwise, same battery, and it's still like 500 pounds less than the VinFast VF8, which is crazy. That's only a 2-row SUV. I still can't believe how heavy VinFast has made their VF8. So Model X, yes, drag coefficient 0.24, so decently slippery. Slippery. Yeah, decently slippery. Not quite as good as the Model S, of course, or the Lucid and those things, but a very impressive drag coefficient. And it's a nice slippery looking car. I think it looks fantastic. Maybe it's a little polarizing. Not everyone loves Tesla's design language. This probably is my favorite looking Tesla, if I have to be honest. So I'm excited to drive this thing. Appreciate Out of Spec Dave for letting us use it once again. And we are finally gonna find out how far it goes at 70 miles an hour. Let's go. There we go. Gotta love CCS cables. Tell you what, took forever to top charge, but we are finally setting off onto the road. What's great is I can just put my foot on the brake. The door will close automatically. And yeah, regenerative braking temporarily reduced. That makes perfect sense. So we'll just close out of that there. And we are off. So going to double check our trips here. We have nothing on right now. So climate control already had the cabin preconditioned, which is nice. So I just put my foot on the brake and it goes forward. Just double checking our trips here. Everything's reset and we are ready to go. So the automatic, I guess forward, backward thing, whatever they call that, is really pretty good. Obviously it knew I backed into a charger. And so it assumed the next thing I would do is depart that charger. So we have everything set in the most efficient method possible. We always keep our climate control in auto between 68 and 72 degrees. And just to make the other test identical to this one, I'm doing 70 right in the middle of that spectrum, as that's where Kyle had it on the other cars. And we are going to go to suspension here and go down to very low. So we're slamming this thing on the ground. That way we can have as much efficiency as possible on the highway. This is fantastic, hitting this light here. Now, this is not equipped with the yoke, which is now an optional extra. It's funny because it was originally like the only way you could get it. So now it's just a round wheel. That's much better with the round wheel, but I wish it had stocks. That's just so much easier. I am okay with the Highland wheel, the new Model 3 wheel. Presumably the new Model Y will have that. Maybe even S and X will take some notes from that, because instead of like capacitive buttons, they are actual physical buttons, which seem to work better. Again, no regen here, so I have to use friction braking because we're so high up in the battery pack, 100% state of charge. So yeah, and then the wheel, you know, this does nothing. In a freak accident situation or whatever, it's annoying to have to look for the horn. Now, again, you can condition yourself to remember that, but it still is pretty frustrating, I would say. Now, over here, we're going to look at distance really quick. It's thinking we can do 335 miles on a charge. I don't think that will actually be the case. So I'm going to assume 302 miles. Kyle guessed 300, Dave guessed 308 or 310, I'll have to double check, but I'm guessing 302, no, 303, the band name. If anyone knows 303, let me know. I'm really curious if anyone's even heard of that. But we're easing onto the highway with chill acceleration here, up to 70 miles an hour. And there we go. 71 indicated is the actual 70 GPS. Guys, we are heading off on the range test. Let's see just how much we can squeeze out of this thing. On the Scan My Tesla, we do see 96.6 kilowatt hours remaining is what it thinks. And then 100% at the very top left is, of course, the state of charge that it's reading. Back of the charger, it actually read like 101 briefly. So it was just top balancing, which is kind of necessary. I'll keep you along for the ride. And of course, we'll do a regular check-in at every 25% increments. So about 75%, 50%, and 25%. Those will be expected. Of course, when we turn around as well, we'll turn around just over 50%, usually 55 to 60%, just so we can make it back to the charger with 100 or 70 miles an hour as long as possible. When we get back to the charger, that's usually when we hit the frontage roads, to try to maintain speed as much as possible without being in a situation where I'm completely stranded if something goes wrong. All right, there's the Buffalo on the hill, which means we are approaching the border of Wyoming, and we are at 91% state of charge. So that's basically a typical indication of a fairly long day ahead of us. Just crossing into 90%. So that puts us right on track to be just a tiny bit behind the other Model X that Kyle tested, the non-Plaid, which would make sense. That one crossed this border at 91%. The Model S Plaid crossed at 93%. So we'll definitely be less efficient than the Model S. Again, that's no surprise. But that's where we're at. So I'll check in again when we get to 75%, which I'm guessing will be right about the border of Nebraska. So I'll basically see you on the other side of Wyoming. Well, not really the other side, just the other, we're crossing through this corner. And that's where I'm guessing we'll see 75%. Alrighty then, we just hit 75% state of charge. We have used a fourth of the battery, basically. Now, the Tesla, Scan My Tesla thing says 73.6 kilowatt hours nominal remaining. That's kind of their guesstimation. Or maybe that's actual real data. I don't really know how it's calculated, but that's what that shows if you're curious. And we are just a bit short of where Kyle was in the Model X long range back before we had the Plaid. Just on that ridge right up ahead there, just past that ridge is the border of Nebraska. So we are almost to that border. So kind of about where I expected. We're going to pass through Pine Bluff here, which I guess that is the Pine Bluff up there, which makes sense. Oh, yeah. By the way, so the turn signals are auto-canceling when you change lanes. It's great. But then autopilot does not re-engage. So autopilot is fantastic. I've been using autopilot pretty much this entire time. I'm just using cruise control right now so the car doesn't get mad at me for giving you guys an update. But autopilot's fantastic, especially if you get enhanced autopilot or full self-driving. Basic autopilot is actually kind of frustrating in a lot of ways. Most other cars that have any sort of self-driving situation will just, automatically re-engage after you change lanes, like very basic things like that. Or even like autopilot, if you have it set to do one flick down on the stock, if you have a stock, or one press on this, and then you change lanes, it cancels cruise control itself. Unless they fix that with an update. That's entirely possible. But you're probably wondering, where are we at with 75%? Well, over here on the screen, I can actually show you here in the trip section, range test. So we've done 69 miles, nice. Used 24 kilowatt hours of energy, so that's about on track for about 100 kilowatt hour battery. That would put us on track to burn about 96, which is exactly what Kyle did in the Model S Plaid, which is the same battery. Our efficiency so far, 348 watt hours per mile. That's not incredible. All right, hello, Potter. We have made it to the Potter exit, and we are at 59% state of charge, just about, probably close to 58. So I'm gonna go ahead and exit here. It would be another 24 miles or so out of the way to keep going, which it's hard to say, but it probably would make it. But just in case, we are going to switch around here, and we can always do another loop back closer to the charger. Exits are so easy out here. There's never any traffic. Super beautiful scenery. I love this country out here. Wyoming, Nebraska, gorgeous places. You can tell they had some snow somewhat recently, but we are still up in the 30s right now, so it's definitely a bit of a colder test, but we've had very little wind in the last bit here, so maybe that was just a little bit of crosswind for a little bit of time there. So time to hit back to Cheyenne, which is about 80 miles back the other way, but we are easing back up to the speed on the highway, 70 miles an hour, which is 71 indicated because 70 is GPS. But again, car super comfortable, very, very good sound system. I love that it has, multi-level heated seats, cooled seats, heated steering wheel. Now we don't use any of that in the range test, so all of that is turned off. And yeah, the sound system is fantastic. Even the active noise canceling, which actually uses these speakers in the headrest to kind of pump in some active noise canceling, I don't know what to call that. You got to watch a video on how it works. It's really fascinating. Then you'll start to understand how AirPods and all those headphones that do active noise canceling, basically pumping in different frequencies to kind of counteract some of the sine waves of standard frequencies. So like Kyle said, some of the road surface can really depend on how quiet this is, but on this road right here, nice and quiet. Dual pane windows, active noise cancellation. I'm pretty thrilled, and the sound system is really solid. Not quite Cybertruck, but definitely way up there in terms of all the other EVs and just cars in general that we've tested. So I'm very happy with it. I just love the tech in Teslas. Stuff just generally works. Obviously, everything has its bugs, no matter what. But in general, fantastic. I got in here. Dave gave me access to the car through my key. It was all signed into my Tesla account. I got in here, picked my name. It immediately linked up to my seat settings, my wheel settings. Even though I've never even been in here, it properly set it based on other Teslas, I guess. My Apple Music was already connected. Everything was ready to go. So fantastic, genuinely fantastic. I love this car. Gotta be one of my favorite Teslas, especially with the weird falcon wing doors. I know they're kind of gimmicky in a way, but I'm a fan. I like weird, wild things. So I will put up with gimmicks even when they're annoying. Sometimes the falcon wing doors can be annoying. They don't like open up all the way, etc. But yes, thanks for joining so far. We are enjoying ourselves over here. 57% now. So we're going to gain a little tiny bit of elevation back on the way to Cheyenne, but we shouldn't really have any wind difference. Sometimes we have a tailwind, which means it's counteracted with a headwind. This is just a slight crosswind the whole way. Very minimal right now. I don't see any movement on the trees or grass, and the Windy app has confirmed that. So we'll find out. I'll keep you posted as we get closer back. We should see darkness by the time we get this test all wrapped up. All right, just missed the 50% on the battery. Just cruising along here too happily. Not great. 136 miles is what we've done, and 48 kilowatt hours is what we've used, and that's about less than 3 miles per kilowatt hour. So really not fantastic. Again, we had a little bit of a crosswind, and it is chilly. We are in the 30s. It is sunny, so that helps a little bit. Dry roads, no precipitation. But that's kind of where we're at. So we're on track for I don't know. It'll probably be less than 300 miles, I think. Maybe 290, 280. It's really hard to say. Now, this lifetime metric does say 427 watt hours per mile. That's pretty bad as well, but you have to understand this Model X has done some towing, which insanely affects efficiency. I mean, it would be like, I don't know, 800 watt hours per mile, something like that, like really pretty rough. So keep in mind that could be a little bit skewed, but even then, this is the number we're looking at for this test, and it's not fantastic. We're just gonna keep cruising. That's Nebraska for you. Just beautiful rolling hills, cornfields, a little bit of a glazing of snow that they've had recently, I believe. And I've got this thing here blocking the sun because the sun is getting lower in the sky there. And it works pretty well. I know people make fun of this giant windshield. I love it. I think it's so fantastic. And it's true, this is pretty thin and it can't get any taller than that. So depending on the angle of the sun, might not be super useful. But for me right now, it is perfectly blocking it from my face. So onwards, we'll check in again at 25%. And then again, when we get back closer to probably making another decent loop. Here we are back in Wyoming. What a beautiful sign. Beautiful scene too. This lighting is pretty epic. We have actually a little bit of like flakes coming up from on high. It's like way up high in the sky. The temperatures are much lower, and so that snow is kind of like falling and just immediately doing nothing. Like the road's still dry, so not really seeing any issues there. And we also have almost no wind at all. So we had a little bit of a crosswind through this area on the way out, and on the way back, that wind seems to have completely died, which is very nice. Maybe the wind's further up in the stratosphere. I don't really know. But that should help the efficiency a little bit. You know, crosswind the whole way is not ideal because you're kind of fighting that the whole way. Here we go on our loop situation down to 25, which will take us back to northern Colorado. And conveniently, this is right at our 25% state of charge check-in. So I am taking the loop relatively quickly, just so we don't lose anything that we don't have to. I think Kyle did this loop and actually screeched a little bit of tires in the other Model X he was testing, but yep, jumping on to 25 now, heading down south. We will regain our typical speed here at 71 indicated, which is 70 GPS verified. There we go. And what is our efficiency so far? Yep, still not great. Only done 200 miles with this turnaround, and we have about 30 miles. Yeah, about 30 miles back to the charger. Now we still have a decent amount of the battery that burned beyond that, so we could be surprised here, but we will be coming in short, that's for sure. So we have 69 kilowatt hours used. The reading down here is 27.4 nominal kilowatt hours remaining. We'll see what that actually means. Basically, I'm going to run this down to 0 and then another 3 kilowatt hours or so, because we know that's about the buffer, and that's about how much further Kyle went with the other Model X and the Model S Plaid. That tiny bit of snow flurries that we saw was like a brief cloud. Otherwise, it's been beautifully sunny. We should have a very nice sunset coming up here in a bit. There's the bison on the hill, which means we are back in Colorado. We're just seeing it from the other direction now. It's pretty accurate with the state of charge on arrival. I believe, this is saying 17%. It's basically been that this whole time. So I really should have gone further, even though it was like 20 something miles out of the way. That would have been within reason. So I don't know. Yeah, I should have known to trust Tesla. They've been pretty good to me, at least. Obviously, Kyle's done many more road trips than Teslas than I have, but I've done enough to feel like they do pretty well with the guesstimation, with the weather, the elevation, all that kind of gets taken into account. So we will do some more looping here pretty soon, and I'll keep you posted along the way. As you can see down here, right there, that's just what the kilowatts of power we are using. So it's really just sipping away at power when we're actually driving around. It's not really using any of its full power. If we were to do like a launch or a drag race, then you'd see that in the you know, hundreds of kilowatt. That BMW, oh, I just missed it. The license plate says EV. Curious to see how this is changing as I get to the lower part of the battery pack, and we'll probably see a power meter at some point. But until then, it's just smooth sailing. This car I wouldn't even know where we're at in the battery pack. It just always acts the same. Very comfortable. I'm a huge fan. So yeah, I'll keep you guys posted as we get closer to the bottom of the pack. The sunset's happening, and the sun is also setting on this range test. Oh no, we're being gypped by the clouds. The sunset is being taken from us. And there is our fourth phantom braking of the day, just randomly. But we are also, yes, not actually taking our exit. There's the come and go with the charger. And right at sunset-ish, yeah, again, the clouds are kind of robbing us a little bit there. Ooh, Taco John sounds good. I'm getting hungry. It is getting to dinner time, I think. But we are not done with this range test yet. So it says if we turn around 6 miles, we will make it back with 13%. So I'm just going to keep looping kind of in this vicinity, especially since traffic is not an issue at all. Starting to see some of the clouds light up. This is going to be awesome, I think. I don't know. The sunset could be like super epic suddenly, or just fall flat on its face. But we are down here at 17%. So the state of charge on arrival did oscillate a little bit, but yeah, I'm going to go down south a little bit, then skip back up, go past the exit again, go north again. Just going to dance around in the plains. This is all really nice and flat. We have no wind. This is a perfect place to just maintain 70 miles an hour. Going to try to get as much out of this as possible because I think this car will need all the help it can get. Here we go. Our first exit, well, I guess our second turnaround, if you will, and hitting the stupid turn signal button there. And yeah, still not an amazing sunset. I feel a little bit gypped. And I feel gypped by the car too. This is not the efficiency I was hoping for, but I guess, so I'm kind of pitting against the EV9 range test that I recently did, but that was the most efficient EV9 with 1 motor. This is the least efficient Model X with 3 motors and their permanent magnet. So I'm gonna flip around here and coast down that ramp as much as possible when we get over there, and jumping back on the highway, easing up to speed once again. The slight downhill ramp does help. These are the best exits for this, you know, going uphill on the off ramp to slow down, using some regen, easing back onto it in the on ramp, and still no traffic to really worry about. That's lovely. All right, we have reached another turnaround, maybe almost the last one. We are already almost back up to the border of Wyoming, not quite. Oh, look at that 3 Series with a roof box. Very nice. Yeah, turning around here, it says we'd get back to the charger at 2% now, but I know there's a buffer, so we'll probably go back to the Wellington exit, and then we will flip around and go back up to maybe the Owl Canyon Road or something. Just something relatively nearby that does have a frontage road just in case. Yeah, a little bit of sunset in the distance there, but we did indeed get gypped by the snowstorm that is happening in the mountains. That's great news for all the skiers and snowboarders out this week, into this week and the weekend. But we are easing back up to 70 miles an hour yet again, and we'll see how much further we go. We've gone just over 250 miles. All right, here we are rolling into our exit. Wellington, Colorado. We still have 2% stated in the battery pack, plus the buffer below that. So we are going to just loop around here, turn back around, go back up to Eagle or Owl Canyon, which I think is, I don't know, about 3.5 miles, 4 miles back. So that should add 7 or 8 miles. I'm going to keep going till it really starts complaining. It's impossible to see the power bar down here. Even I can't see it, so I don't think there's any way you can. Maybe I'll try, you know, changing the auto brightness situation. Let's see, display. We'll turn to light mode. That still didn't change that screen, so never mind. We'll switch it back to auto and just go 100% brightness. You can sort of see it, but not really. So, but power is definitely cut as expected at this stage in the battery pack. And we did actually get a little bit extra with the regen going up that ramp, so we're back up to 3%. Exited the highway at 2%, now we're at 3%. We should be probably back down to 2% in just a second here. But we are easing back up to speed as per usual down the on-ramp. And we're going to try to ease into 70. Again, we're in chill acceleration, so no crazy Plaid stuff right now. But it is wild to think of what this car really can do if you give it all the beans. All right, we have our exit here. We are down to 1% state of charge. Just doing easy, gentle accelerations. And let's see if you can maybe see that gray bar down there. It's where you see the green. I don't really think that's translating to camera very well at all. But yeah, right here. I still feel like I have decent acceleration. So we'll see. Easing back onto the highway yet again, hopefully for nearly the last time. We should see 0% pretty soon here. I'm just waiting anxiously. There we go, 0%, still at 91 kilowatt hours. So we should be seeing, I don't know, 94 to 95 should mean I've eaten into the buffer. We'll find out. And that's what's remaining on the phone there, and the nominal remaining, so 4.76. We're gonna keep an eye on that. That's definitely dropped down quite a bit, but we'll see. So still on the highway at 71 miles an hour at 0%. That's kind of my favorite way to do this, is to do every single piece of it at highway speed, if at all possible. Obviously things can sometimes change, but in this case we are sticking with it. We got 2 miles till our exit at Wellington, and we'll see how much. We've already gone up 1 kilowatt hour. So I will keep an eye on this and this and this and everything. And they don't have any warnings yet. Like, nothing's come up on the screen. All it's saying is like, hey, you're gonna get back to your destination at 0%. But there's been no like, hey, go find a charger. I'm worried about you. Here's your route to the nearest charger. So, which is nice for range tests, because I would just ignore that stuff. But it is interesting how some cars start warning you with like a turtle mode, and they'll even throw warnings as early as like 15% state of charge. Tesla, yeah, I guess they just assume you know what you're doing. Taking our exit here on Wellington, now we will jump to the frontage road just to play it safe. There is a Bolt charging over there, so we do have chargers open. I'm glad they fixed it. It was frustrating that those were down offline for nearly a month, but the important thing is they are back up and functional. So 275 miles on the highway. That's my official reporting for highway speed, but again, we should be able to hit close to highway speeds on these frontage roads, which is nice. Back up to speed here. Definitely is some power loss, but not, it still feels as fast as many other cars. Like the base model EV9 feels basically the same as this, which is funny right now. Okay, just spun around on the frontage road, and now I'm definitely feeling some power loss. Yeah, we're getting down to the wire, I think. And we're about to break 280 miles total, which again is all pretty much the same speeds we usually do in our usual range test. So this is definitely a run-of-the-mill range test, just with the slightly cooler temperatures, although it is in the mid-40s, which is not the worst we've seen. We finally did get the charging needed to reach destination. Now it's saying it'll be minus 2%. So it keeps recalibrating every time I do a little turnaround thing on the frontage road, which is funny. And we've done 285 miles, and yeah, that flipped over to 94 kilowatt hours used. So that's pretty good. That's definitely eating into the buffer about as much as we really can. Now I'm definitely power cut. Oh geez. That's down to 1 point something kilowatt hour. I'm not gonna look at it, I'm gonna keep my eyes on the road, but wow, yeah, getting to the very, very end. Yes, 95 kilowatt hours pulled out of this. I'm more thrilled with that. So wasn't sure what to expect as we were really setting out earlier, especially when we turned around. I wasn't very thrilled with the number. Here we are, made it back to the chargers. Looks like the Bolt has left. Just a little golf over here. And we're just gonna go right back to the one we used when we left here. Reverse. Yes, great reverse camera. Love Tesla's tech, honestly. Pretty much all of it seems pretty high quality. And where are we at? Battery too so charge immediately. Okay. So So here's our final stats for you. 95 kilowatt hours is what the car claims we pulled out of it, with right about exactly 3 miles per kilowatt hour, 286 miles. This is pretty much down to the bottom. When we left, our pack voltage was about 420. Now it's up down to 320. So pack voltage definitely dropped. Sentry mode unavailable, insufficient charge. Everything's gone. Everything's gone wrong, but this range test went right. So dead Tesla. Let's plug it in, get some final thoughts. All right, the adapter's plugged in. I heard something click, which is usually a good sign. And we are ramping up very gradually, passing level 2 speeds. Yep, should be a decent ramp. We'll see what we actually top out at. I believe these chargers will do up to 200 amps. Ugh. Yeah, pretty slow right now. Maybe that's just because it's the bottom of the battery pack, but we can also see everything here. Pack voltage, charging power. It says max charging power 80 kilowatts. So there you have it. Model X Plaid 2023 range test, 286 miles. Once again, totally usable number, but about, that's exactly 40 miles short of the EPA, which is actually relatively on track with a lot of other Teslas and their EPA number versus 70 mile an hour constant. Now, we could have done a bit more if it was probably a little bit warmer. We had a little bit of wind at some point. Most of our range tests have some factor, a little bit of a wind, maybe headwind or tailwind, which I guess cancels out eventually. The weather, the temperatures are kind of all over the place, but we try to make them as consistent as possible. So would be interesting to do this one maybe again in the summer. I would really love to just run every single car in summer and winter and just like really see how much temperature really affects each car, because the cold can have a wide variety of effects on different EVs. But there you have it. We're ending, it's right about 42 degrees out right now, so definitely chilly. But let me know what you guys think of the Model X. The Plaid specifically, the ultra red, the white interior, all those great things. The new Tesla software, the autopilot, which is not as naggy as it was when they first, recalled it, but yeah, it's fine. So I had a blast. Thank you, Dave, for letting us use your car for all this stuff we've been filming with it. And we'll get it back to you very soon, I promise. In one piece.